Hello my friends, today we are going to the ranches in the United States to see how the process of raising millions of livestock takes place on the vast grasslands. In recent decades, cows have always been the most commonly raised livestock in the US grasslands. In addition, goats, sheep, and horses are also animals that appear quite a lot on farms with a scale of up to millions of individuals. According to the USDA statistics, as of mid-2022, there are about 176 million livestock raised in the United States, and these farms include animals such as cattle, goats, sheep, and pigs, of which cattle are the most abundant species, with about 53%, followed by pigs with 41%, sheep with 4%, and goats accounting for only 2% of the total number of cattle raised in the country. According to statistics of the United States Bureau of Land Management, in 2021, there are about 788 million acres of land in the country used for livestock grazing, and this area accounts for 41.4% of the country's area. These are 1-year-old lambs on a farm in Auburn, Northern California. Each ewe on this farm usually gives birth to 2 to 3 lambs, and the lambs will live with the mothers for about 9 weeks before weaning. It is estimated that 1.7 million lambs are born each year in the United States, and up to 37% of them are born in Texas and California. Between 2 and 4 weeks old, dozens of lambs at this farm will have their ears tagged and tails removed. These are mandatory jobs at most large-scale sheep farms across the country. According to statistics in 2021, in California, there was about 9,300 sheep farms, with a number of about 557,000 heads, accounting for 11% of the number of sheep in the country. This is a sheep farm in McMullen County, South Texas, home to more than 600 sheep over 4 months old. In the early morning, hundreds of sheep at this ranch will be herded to the pasture to feed, and like the herds in Texas, these sheep also regularly move from one pasture to another, giving the grasslands time to recover. Currently, Texas is the state with the largest number of sheep in the United States, with about 747,000 heads, accounting for 17% of the country's sheep population. The grazing of hundreds of sheep in the pasture is also aided by these shepherd dogs, which help herders protect the sheep from attack by coyotes and wildcats. In addition to Texas and California, Idaho, Colorado, and Wyoming are also the states with large numbers of sheep grazing on grasslands and hillside areas. According to USDA statistics, as of mid-2022, there are about 101,000 sheep farms in operation across the country. Of that, about 53% of the sheep are raised on farms with a fairly large area of land, and the remaining sheep are raised inside factory farms. Shearing will be done when the sheep are about a year old, and this is also done once a year. The average yield of wool obtained per sheep typically ranges from 7 to 7.5 pounds. Not only are they raised to harvest wool, millions of sheep in the United States are also auctioned off and shipped to lamb factories. Each year, about 2.2 to 2.3 million sheep are slaughtered across the country, and the average annual production of lamb is about 137 million pounds. By sheep farms, we will now go to the vast grasslands of Texas to see how the process of grazing thousands of goats here works. As of September 2022, there are about 2.65 million goats in the United States, and they are raised mainly in states like Tennessee, Texas, California, and Georgia. These are 3-week-old goats on a farm in Edwards County, southwest Texas. Basically, the breeding process at goat farms is quite similar to sheep farms. Some ranchers even keep both animals and graze them together. Every morning, about 470 goats at this farm will be herded to the pasture right next to the farm to feed and freely play. In order to accompany their mother to the pasture, the baby goats also need to be about 1 month old. Currently, there are about 1.1 million goats in Texas, accounting for 41% of the national goat population, and nearly all of the goats in the state are raised on farms with large pastures. The majority of goats in Texas are raised for meat, with 83% of US goat meat produced in the state. On some small-scale goat farms, the goats will operate in fenced areas, and most of their food is provided by breeders. In the late afternoon, hundreds of goats in the pasture will be herded back to the farm to rest and avoid the attack of predators. It is estimated that about 1,100 goats in Texas are attacked by coyotes each year. The period between 8 and 12 months is the time for goats to be transferred to the cattle auction markets. Here, thousands of goats will be sold to goat meat factories or other ranchers. In addition to goats and sheep, the vast grasslands in the United States are also home to millions of cattle, and this is also the most commonly grazed animal on the grasslands. We've got a video about raising millions of cattle in the United States, and it has nearly 3 million views. So if you want to understand more about grazing, you can watch this video. Hello my friends. Today we are going to farms in some western states of the USA, like Oregon, Arizona, New Mexico, and California, to see how the process of harvesting some of the crops here happens. Not only for the film industry in California, or gambling in Nevada, or the aerospace production in Washington, the western states of the United States are also famous for their cattle ranches and large and super large agricultural fields. The first place we will visit in this video is the wild blueberry fields in the Willamette Valley in Oregon. About 14,000 acres of blueberries and wild blueberries are harvested in Oregon each year. It is also the second largest producer of wild blueberries in the country, second only to Maine. The end of July each year is the time when hundreds of workers flock to the wild blueberry fields of Oregon to harvest this berry. In some smaller wild blueberry fields, billions of blueberries will be harvested by rakes rather than by machines. According to statistics released from the USDA, in 2021, there were around 1,050 active blueberry farms in Oregon, and about 37% of them are wild blueberry farms. Once being harvested, billions of wild blueberries are poured into plastic trays before being shipped to the factory for packaging and juice production. In 2021, wild blueberry production in the United States is about 117 million pounds, and 85% of that is produced in Maine. Have you ever drank wild blueberry juice before? Let us know how you feel about the taste of this drink. The second place that we will visit in this video is a cantaloupe field in Yuma County, Arizona. Every June to August is the time when thousands of migrant workers from Mexico flock to the fields of cantaloupes in Arizona to harvest. There are about 20 workers in a group, and they will follow this machine. Eligible cantaloupes will be picked and packed right here. With more than 300 sunny days a year, farmers in Arizona grow cantaloupe in 2 seasons. In spring, about 23,000 acres of cantaloupes are grown here, and the area planted to cantaloupes in autumn is about 9,800 acres. In recent years, cantaloupes have always been the most commonly grown melon variety in the United States, with an area of about 63,000 acres, of which California and Arizona account for 87% of the country's cantaloupe growing area. Each year, cantaloupe farms across the country harvest about 1.4 billion pounds, and revenue from this fruit is about $315 million. Here's the harvest in process of another cantaloupe field in California. Here, thousands of cantaloupes will be picked and loaded onto trucks, thanks to this conveyor system. During the peak season of cantaloupe harvesting, these workers will work about 9 hours a day, and their wages range from $8 to $13 per hour. After harvesting, thousands of cantaloupes here will be transported by truck to factories to be washed and packed. Here's what's going on at a chili farm in the Hatch Valley of New Mexico. August to September every year is the time when the chili harvesting process in New Mexico takes place. This is their busiest time. At this farm, dozens of workers have started harvesting chili peppers at 6 a.m. Thousands of peppers will be picked and stored in these small buckets. And when the buckets are filled, these workers will proceed to pour the peppers into large plastic trays before they are transported to the packing plant to be packaged. According to the USDA statistics in 2021, in New Mexico, about 31,000 acres of farmland is used to grow peppers. And this is the state with the largest chili growing area in the country. The fourth place that we will visit in our agricultural exploration of the western United States is a persimmon farm in California. Every day, about 65 workers come to this farm to harvest persimmons. Equipment that these workers always carry when working are ladders and small plastic trays to store persimmons. In recent years, persimmon has been a relatively small fruit grown in the United States, with only about 3,100 acres of persimmons planted in 2021 across the country, of which California is the state with the largest persimmon growing area, with about 71% of the nation's total. In addition to California, persimmons are also grown quite a lot in Florida and the southern regions of Texas. In 2021, the national production of persimmon harvested is about 48.7 million pounds, and about 50% of that is exported to Canada and some Asian countries. The last place that we will visit in this video is a peanut farm in the state of New Mexico. Every year from September to November, the peanut harvest takes place in the fields of New Mexico. Before harvesting, the peanut vines are dug out of the ground and dried for around 3 days. After the 3 days, these machines will be used to harvest the hundreds of tons of peanuts at this farm. Today, Georgia is the largest producer of peanuts in the United States, with about 3.2 billion pounds produced in 2021, accounting for 54% of the total nationwide production. In addition to Georgia, Alabama is also a major producer of peanuts, with about 637 million pounds per year, and peanut production in New Mexico is only about 47 million pounds per year.